Hi, SUNY Cortland. I'm Alex Valbergs.
And I'm CJ Gulino.
And this is Fantasy Football Booms and Busts for Week 7. We're just going to jump right into it. I don't like Matt Stafford this week. He's playing Chicago. They're playing in Chicago. And I think they're one of the best defenses in football. And Matt Stafford has not been very good so far this year. It's been nothing like his 40-touchdown season last year. CJ, he's on your love list. Why do you like Matt Stafford so much this year?
Well, I feel like Matt Stafford's going to have a big day on Sunday because he came from a good win against the Eagles. He bounced back. He played well. He got the close win. And, against Chicago, their secondary is pretty depleted, and he has one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver, hands down in the league to throw to. So I can't see him having too bad of a day.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson is no doubt one of the best receivers in football, probably the best receiver in football. My quarterback that I have on my love list is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's had a couple of rough weeks in a row, but they're coming home, and they're playing the Tennessee Titans, and that's a remedy for success pretty much versus anyone these days. The Titans have been really rough, and they're allowing over 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks the entire season. So, there's a couple of really good quarterbacks on buys this week, like Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning. So if you're desperate for a quarterback, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick could make a nice bye week filler. Moving to wide receivers, Hakeem Nicks is supposed to play this week, and I don't think you should have any doubt that he should be playing in your lineup. If Nicks is going to be out there, you need to start him. And I know we both also like Mike Williams of the Tampa Bay Bucks this week. Why do you like Mike Williams?
I like Mike Williams for two big reasons. First off, they're playing New Orleans, and New
Orleans secondary has been terrible.
Their whole defense has just been terrible this year. They just
really
haven't
bad.
been producing, and they've every reason not to with the whole coaching scandal and everything. And he's just been playing great. The last 2 weeks, he had over 100 yards each game. He's not getting a lot of receptions, but if you're not playing in the PPR league, he's a great pickup this week.
Yeah. Mike Williams, he has four out of his 5 games this year. He's had 100 yards or a touchdown. So I think they're going to be throwing all over the Saints defense. I like Mike Williams as like a bye week filler as well. Going back to Buffalo, not on the Bills, but Chris Johnson will be in Buffalo this weekend, and he's been a nightmare for fantasy owners this year, but Buffalo's about as good as a matchup as it can get. They're fourth worst against running backs in terms of fantasy points per game. He had over 100 total yards last week, and I really like Chris Johnson. If he can't do good this week, then it's time to give up on him completely. What about you, CJ?
I really like I really like Ben Tate actually this week.
Ben Tate. Even though he's back up to Arian Foster.
It's interesting because I think last week the main reason he didn't produce was solely because they were down at the beginning of the game. They had to play catch-up the whole time. And I think we've all seen what Ben Tate can do if he gets his touches. And I think they're going to jump on the Ravens this week just because their defense is depleted. They have a lot of injuries, and he's a great back when he gets his touches.
Yeah, well, Ben Tate, he is the backup to Arian Foster, but he's very talented. I think if Arian Foster ever went down, he would be a top 10 running back possibly. There's a lot of good running backs also on buys. So there's 6 teams on buys this week. Reggie Bush, Willis McGahee, Michael Turner, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles. They're all on buys. So obviously some teams are going to be, going to the bottom of the barrel to start a running back this week. And in terms of like how I said about Hakeem Nicks and how you got to start him, if anybody has Marshawn Lynch, I don't care who they're playing. They're playing the Niners. Their Niners are a good defense, but you can't bench Marshawn Lynch. He gets 22 touches a game. I bet he will score a touchdown. Ahmad Bradshaw proved last week that the Niners defense isn't invincible, and you can run on them. So I think it'd be crazy if you bench Marshawn Lynch, especially in like a bye-heavy week like this week. What running backs don't you like this week, CJ?
I don't like Steven Jackson just because he's old. Honestly, he's an older back. He's slow. He hasn't been hitting the holes a lot. And I think the Rams offense is going towards the younger look with Richardson in the backfield. Yeah. He's quick. He looks like a younger Jackson, and I think that's what they need in the backfield right now. Yeah,
Darrell Richardson has been stealing some carries from Steven Jackson, and he might continue to do so. He looks better at this point. A couple of receivers that I really don't like. A few All-Pros, Steve Smith and Jordy Nelson. I'm saying I don't like them. In a bye-heavy week like this, you probably don't have the option to sit Jordy Nelson or Steve Smith, but I might lower your expectations. Especially, I don't think Jordy Nelson's going to come close to having 3 touchdowns like he did on Sunday night versus your Houston Texans, CJ.
Unfortunately.
Sorry about that. Steve Smith, he's averaging 77 yards a game, no touchdowns yet this year. Maybe he'll score, but the Panthers look pretty bad right now. Newton's all over the place. He looks nothing like last season. Maybe he'll get it together. I don't know. What about CJ? Who else do you not like this week?
I don't like Alex Smith at quarterback just because they're playing the third best defense in the league, and I know the Niners are a great defense in themselves, but I just don't think that they have the offensive power to take the Seahawks down. They've been playing great defense. They're coming off a big win against New England, and I think that the defense is going to be hot this week.
Yeah, I mean the Niners have kind of proven that if they get down by a touchdown or two, it's very hard for them to come back. And a couple running backs, like I said, I don't like Adrian Peterson this week. He hasn't scored since week 1, but you probably don't have the option to sit Peterson. Just like I said, I might lower my expectations. He might get you 80, 90 yards. Maybe he'll score, but he hasn't since week 1. So yeah, maybe I know he's still struggling with an ankle injury. The knee looks fine, but now his ankle's bothering him. And Felix Jones is probably the most popular pickup of the week. I mean, I've never been crazy about Felix Jones. I don't think anybody in Dallas is. That's why they gave the job to DeMarco Murray. He might get most of the workload, but last year he had 160 touches and 1 touchdown. I would bet against Felix Jones getting into the end zone. He might get you 100 yards, but it's all about the touchdowns in fantasy, and I don't think Felix Jones is going to be in the end zone this weekend. Do you have anything else to say, CJ?
I really don't like Vernon Davis this week, just because
Low on the Niners.
I'm not a big Niners fan this week, just because the Seahawks haven't allowed a touchdown to a tight end all year. And like I said, they're playing fierce defense, and I just don't see him putting up numbers this week.
All right, yeah. I mean, that game is going to be played soon, and I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. We'll find out how the defenses and the offenses respond to that tough loss for the Niners and that huge emotional win for the Seahawks. But that about wraps it up for Week 7 and Fantasy Football Booms and Busts. I'm Alex Valbergs.
I'm CJ Gulino.
And that was a total bust.